So like a corporate brand, do you intend to trademark this signature of yours?
It's good. I actually didn't think about that. Who would want to steal this brand? I mean, as we go,
Well.
this is it. This is the trademark. So if anyone wants to steal my brand, this is it. We're trademarking it right here, right now, on Brandwatch, the Branding Institute of Zimbabwe.
Hello and welcome to this exciting episode of Brandwatch. Today we get to witness and be a part of the launch of a logo and signature of a personal brand many of you might know. His name is Tafadzwa Mkhwe. Tafadzwa, thank you very much for joining us and allowing us the opportunity to host you and be a part of the launch of your logo and signature.
Well, thank you for hosting me.
Now, before we get into detail about your logo and signature, take us back a bit. We want to understand, where did you start from? When did you realize your personal purpose? When did you begin to activate it?
Yeah, my personal brand, I've always wanted to talk about and learn about brands. And when I began to understand and to get to see what personal brands are about, I became very intrigued. But where it all started from was I used to go to a lot of purpose seminars. Like anybody else, you always ask yourself the question, why am I here? And it was kind of like a foundational issue. But 2004, sadly, we lost our son, Kudakwashe. And when Kudakwashe died, he died at 110 days. And it was at a time when it shook my family and we got to a place where we were kind of like, I don't know, for me it was like, I don't know if I can handle this. Well, what's the purpose if a young boy can just wake up and he's gone? But I got to a place where I began to dig deeper and deeper and to begin to ask myself the hard questions. The amazing thing is the support we got from family and friends. And it made me realize that, everybody has got a reason why they must come. And I feel this young man, in those 110 days, he lived his purpose to the fullest. And so I went on a huge quest to find out. And it took me about 2 years.
2 years?
Absolutely, 2 years, 2 years.
Many people, to this day, many of us still don't know why, we're here. I mean, how old are you now?
Well, I don't know if it's a good time to be talking about how old I am, but, yes, it did take me 2 years. But the 2 years was really intense. It's not like you wake up in the morning, you've got a bad day, and you think, well, why am I here? Mm-hmm. It was a serious, intensive study and inquiry and inventory of the brand.
So it takes a lot of work. You just don't wake up one day and say, God, thank you, my purpose. I know what it is.
I went through lots of material. I went through a number of books that I read. I went through lots of questionnaires. So it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And so after those 2 years, my aim ultimately was to get to a place where I can have a statement that talks about Tafadzwa. And when I found it, it was exciting. And so my purpose is I'm a marketplace minister anointed to activate potential.
Oh wow, amazing.
Yeah.
So we're launching your signature Tafadzwa Mkhwe and your logo on the move with Taf.
Yeah.
So why now? Why launch? And take us through this.
Well, I've written a number of books which for some reason have taken forever to be published in a sense. I've printed them out. I've given to a couple of people. I've got a couple of things that I do online. I've got a channel that I have online. And so I really felt it was time, with the content I'm generating, with the different things that I'm doing, I needed to get to a place where I can say, now I'm aware of who I am. It's now time to put a signature on everything that says, this is Tafadzwa, this is who I am. And I feel that while it's for me to say, you know what, Tafadzwa, now it's time. It's time to launch out, go and do the things that the Lord has asked you to do. So it's kind of like, it's not like I've arrived. It's like we've now started the race. It's time to work. And so with that, I want to mark everything that I'm doing going forward. Everything is going to be purposeful. Everything is going to be on point, in alignment with my purpose. And so from this moment going forward, we're rolling.
So in a sense, it's basically launching your or imprinting your brand identity with every touch point in your life.
I think it's come at a fantastic opportunity and time, at a time when I think all the elements that have come together. All the elements about my brand have come together, and now it's about taking it out there in a very consistent manner. So yes, absolutely, no manner. It's about me imprinting and positioning brand Tafatswa Mkhweli.
Okay, so where would you be using your signature Tafatswa Mkhweli?
Well, it can be on different elements. One thing that we're going to be doing, and I've got a fantastic team that is helping me. We've got a huge online campaign that we'll be running. We also have a following that I have of different people, my friends, my family. Some of my family actually compete to say they're their number one fan. I've got an amazing family, and I get an opportunity to leave something that, when my time is up on Mother Earth, they will always be able to see something that is timeless, that they can always have. So on my my signature is going to go on my quotations. It's going to go on my books. It's going to go on everything that I am going to be creating from a content point of view. Wherever the name Tafatswa, even on a photography, if I get a photo taken, I want to see my signature there. And it's kind of like saying, when I take a photo and I'm going to publish that photo on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever, is this consistent with the brand Tafatswa Mkhweli?
Okay, so like a corporate brand, do you intend to trademark this signature of yours?
That's good. I actually didn't think about that. I think we can, but who would want to steal this brand? I mean, as we go, as we go into talking about the elements about my brand, it's got a lot of history in it. And I think by just having this interview, I'm so grateful to Brandwatch. By having this interview, in a sense, I'm trademarking it. I'm making it known. People begin to see that I can always do that. So it's not like I'm going to make a deliberate effort at this stage to trademark it. It's pretty cool. It's TM trademark Tafatswa Mkhweli, but not yet. This is it. This is the trademark. So if anyone wants to steal my brand, this is it. We're trademarking it right here, right now, on Brandwatch, the Branding Institute of Zimbabwe.
Well, Tafatswa, it seems like you're going places, so I think it would be a great idea to soon trademark your signature.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, now we move on to your logo, On the Move with TAF. Where does that come from? Why On the Move?
Well, a couple of years ago, a friend of mine, Nico Abote, and I thank him for his push and his insistence on this. We mooted an idea of doing motivational talks online, and we've got a channel on YouTube, as well as a Facebook page, where we wanted to motivate people. And what that channel did was it actually launched one of the books I'm going to be launching soon, which is Exit Your Excuses. And so what Nico Abote did was we took a lot of videos, and then we came up with this, and we said On the Move with TAF. And as I've been mooting the idea of, I need to write my signature and all that, we didn't quite have a logo for it, for that channel. But we've begun to see it's much more than just a logo. It's again so tied into the purpose statement of activating potential. So I feel that while we've got this channel, so that On the Move with TAF is a representation of action. It's a movement, and I'm happy to talk about that. If we start with my, I don't know what you want us to launch first. Should we talk about the signature first or the logo? I can't wait to tell everybody what this is all about.
Let's talk about the logo.
The logo first.
Yes.
Okay, so On the Move with TAF. On the Move with TAF is really an acronym. For many years, growing up, my mom was really instrumental in my growing up, because she was a single mom. My dad died when I was in grade 7, and so she had a lot of impact in my life, and we have phenomenal friends, even though my wife has sort of become a better friend than me. But I went through a place in my life growing up in a mission school, and with being a high achiever, with having cousins who had done very well, and there was always this push, do this, do that, do that. And I got to a place where the word change for me, you must change that, you must do that, you must do that. It really didn't have the weighting, didn't have the elements that say, what does it mean to say change? Change your ways. You know, even sometimes you hear, even as we're being taught in church and all of that, change this, do that, do that. But I didn't feel that it gave me direction. And so when we came up with the concept of On the Move with TAF, it's an acronym that stands for motivation, opportunity, vision, and energy. And it really typifies what I stand for. And the whole idea of movement, if you say to somebody move, it's almost certain that you know what they're going to do. If you say to somebody change, they're probably going to ask a number of questions. So On the Move with TAF is again for me saying my purpose is to activate potential. I'm going out there to the people that I influence, my sphere of influence, and I'm saying, you know what, let's move. Let's move together. It's not just you moving, it's me moving. Let's get the motivation. Let's seek those opportunities. Let's go out there within the parameters of our vision. And you know me, I just got that energy. Anything, any movement, I promise you, any movement needs to have some form of energy. So that's the whole concept around change, about movement. It's a new way of looking at how to go from place A to place B. How to change the things that you want to change, how to move towards your vision. I keep using the word move, but that's the whole concept. And I think that with the purpose that I believe God has given me to activate potential, it's that simple. I have to go out there. While I'm doing this to people, it goes back right at me. So it's also speaking to me.
Now, many people say that great brands have a history, they have a story to tell.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel that your personal past and everything that you've gone through up to today have been a contributing factor to coming up with your signature and logo and choosing the themes, the colors, the font, you know, that identity that marks Tafatso?
I think so, a lot. My dad, I cannot never stop talking about him. My dad, he used to have a blue car. I love dynamos. And so blue was also almost an automatic. Blue, I love the color blue. And you know, there's a young man who's helped me with all this. His name is Masimba, but he's with Masimba Leon Photography. He's an amazing guy. And so we spent a lot of time trying to work on this stuff. And when he presented to me, it was like I fell in love with this. It was a real representation of where I've come from. First and foremost is the name Tafazwa. I look at it, it reminds me of my mom. And when I was looking at the logo and I was getting some advice, I looked at that. That's the first thing I fell in love with. But it also talks about my past. You know, growing up at a mission school, and all my friends will know, even in college, nobody would ever want to read my notes because of my handwriting. and so the way Tafazwa is written, it's written in a font that really looks like the way I write. It's crazy. It's on the move.
True to you.
Definitely true to me. So it's a font that is active. It's kind of like a movement. It's not too constricted. It's not too structured. It's not like, you know, be on the right and narrow. It's like it's free flowing. That's what I like about the signature Tafazwa. But then when we come to Mukoi for me initially, when I looked at it, I had a real issue with the young man I told you about, Masimba, who came up with the logo, and I said, no, I don't like this. And so I called in my wife and I said, honey, what do you think about this? And she looked at it. And when I was thinking about preparing for this interview, I remember back in the day, when we got married, I always used to say, I've got a degree in psychology, she's got a degree in sociology. So I always used to say, you deal with the family, and I will deal with you. You know, that sort of thing. So she looked at it and she says, that's it. And I looked at it and I said, well, that's Mukoi is not me. It's a representation of my past. It's a representation of my heritage. It's something that I pass on to everybody else. And so if you look at the logo, the logo Mukoi, it's right there, right smack there. It's bold, it's got no funny typefaces on it. It's about heritage. So indeed, and then you find that there's an exciting element on it. You find there's a microphone on it. and I love that part of it because of two key things. My eyes, when everybody else used to dot their eyes, I used to put a circle on my eyes.
Okay. You still do that?
I still do. I actually do it on my actual signature in the bank. I always put a circle around my eye. I learned this from my late cousin Spencer. He used to always put circles on his eyes. And so I felt, you know, growing up, you know how you learn to write your signature. I never lost that. And it feels like it was all working together. And now being an MC with a microphone, and it looks like an eye. So it's a representation of where I have taken the Mukhoi brand. The Tofadzwa Mukhoi becomes, it's now a mixture of Tofadzwa Mukhoi and what I'm doing, trying to activate potential. So when you look at the microphone, it's about how I activate potential when I speak at conferences, when I speak or MC or whatever I do. But I do a lot of speaking and lots of consultancy. So that's really got to do with a lot of my history.
Okay. Yeah. Now, Tofadzwa, just hearing you speak really brings to realization the fact that when we look at corporate brands, they have manuals, they have steps, they have guidelines in building the brand, and that also concur with the logo and guidelines. Now, from your perspective, what would you say to our audience today that can assist in, you know, building their logos and their signatures that can aid in grooming or the upbringing of their personal brand?
Well, I think the issue for me was, you asked me earlier on about where did this all come from, is the issue of essence. If you look at on the movie Taff again, it's got a different kind of, it's got a megaphone. Again, it's the same concept around the microphone on Mukhoi. And so the essence is there. You can see Tofadzwa in it, you can see Tofadzwa Mukhoi in both. Now, let's move to your question about corporate brands that have got brand manuals, and should personal brands also have brand manuals?
Yes.
Sometimes people will argue, I've had friends say to me, isn't that going to limit you? Doesn't that limit you to say, so this is the straight and narrow? In actual fact, it helps you know what you're supposed to be doing, within what parameters. There's nothing as important as being in alignment. If you look, it's not the same microphone, but it's the same concept around. If you look at my signature and the logo that we are launching, it's about consistency. The expression may be something else, but the consistency is there. It's about activating potential. So I think that people need to take themselves through a place where they look at themselves and say, listen, what is my brand? And should I create a manual? The stages that I live out my brand. I've got one. So I'll say that.
For someone like me, a manual would be my objectives or goals for the month, for the year, you know, building up towards where I want to go.
Not really.
Okay.
For a personal brand, it's almost as good as your corporate brand. You start from your vision or your purpose, and then from there you go to your mission. From there you go to your values, and then from your values you go to your position. And so all of those things, unless you know all of those things, and sometimes it doesn't have to be different things because you're a human being, and sometimes they're different things. You don't position your brand differently, but you've got to go through all those steps and understand that. Once you've done that, you're then going to say, okay, so what story do I want my audience to know? Because it's all about the audience. You know, I believe that there are two reasons why we created. Number one is to glorify God and to edify others. And so, how am I going to glorify God? And now we're building the story. How am I going to edify others? Because you interact with people. And so, in so doing, you're now beginning to talk about those things. Your objectives, your goals, I have to meet what your brand, it's almost like your strategy. It's your goals. You've got to do that. It's not, so your brand is not a one-day thing. It's not like, now that I've launched brand, my signature, that's it. No. It's a continuous thing. You've got different audiences that you've got to meet, different people you're going to talk to. I'm going to grow, you know, and this is why sometimes we rebrand. So you can also actually rebrand a personal brand. So yeah, that's what I think. I don't know if it helps.
It does, Tofadzwa. Thank you very much. Before we conclude, we'd just like to hear from you where we should look out for your logo and see your signature for those of us who want to learn and, take a tip or two from what we see?
Well, I've got a number of platforms. Firstly, I believe that I'm a personal branding ambassador. Among many other things that I do, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an author, I'm an MC, like I've said earlier on, and I'm also a motivational speaker.
Busy bee.
Sorry?
Many things to do.
Well, you know what? I want to live a life to the fullest. My life has to, I'm going to leave a dent. And so where will you see me? See me at any one of those platforms where I speak, and as well as on Facebook, on LinkedIn. You'll be able to find me on those platforms. And I'm very active on Facebook. I think Facebook is more interactive. I know there's all this Twitter thing, but from a preference point of view, look for me on Facebook.
Tafaza, thank you so much for an exciting program. I'm sure our viewers really gained quite a bit of insight on this. And thank you for joining us once again. Do remember us when you do decide to launch your book.
Well, thank you. It's going to be books actually, but I'm so excited. For me as well, it's this huge opportunity to speak to myself. You know, people don't take too much time to speak to themselves. And as I was speaking, I was hearing myself speak, and I really feel like I was saying, you know, Taf, this is the time. And I feel really challenged that it's my time, it's my season. There's no going back. It's time to do the work that the Lord sent me out to do. But so thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And to our audience, see you next time for an exciting episode of Brand Watch.